Hey everybody, I'm Tarl Yarber with Fixated Real Estate. Welcome once again to another episode of this case study and pro deal analysis videos that we are making just for you. Today's video, we're going to go over an awesome property that we have just outside of Seattle, Washington. It is a 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath property, roughly 2,000 square feet. And we're going to go over with you guys how we're going to make roughly $60,000 net profit on this property when we list it here in a couple days. Excited to share that with you guys. Just like all these video series that we're doing for you guys, we're going to show you guys properties that we're actively flipping right now and or burring. Buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. Today's property is a flip. I hope that you guys enjoy it. I'm going to show you guys how we acquired this property through a wholesaler, specifically all the before photos. And when you see these before photos, you're literally going to smell the money in it. It's a pretty good, nasty one. And I really, really like these properties because there's gold hidden in these things, especially when you can taste the money, when you can smell the money. When you see these pictures, you're going to enjoy it. Now, we're going to go over all that. We're going to show you guys the floor plans in a little bit in depth. I'm going to go over all the numbers. That's something that not everybody does, but we're going to go over all the numbers as much as possible so that you can see all the costs factored into it, how you guys can plan it out yourselves. And one of the things I'm most excited about this video is we dive deep into comparables. Now, we don't do that very often. Now, a comparable is actually what you need to go get when you go analyze a deal, so that because when you want to find out what the after repair value is on a property that's an ARV, you cannot do that without comparables. What are comparables? Comparables are properties that are a like kind to the property that you're actually trying to buy. And like kind, or what you want it to be like, that property to be like, in this case, totally fixed up, dialed in an area that we're investing in. So that way we can get the ARV, the after repair value for the property we're working on, so we can know how much we should be buying this property for. We're going to go into that so much depth today. You guys are going to enjoy that. Hopefully you'll learn a lot. And of course, we're going to go over a pro tip for you guys. One of my favorite pro tips, one of the things that we tried to systemize right in the get-go from doing our business. We've done hundreds of flips. And one of the things I hate the most is dealing with finishes. So we're going to show you guys how we deal with finishes so that maybe you guys can use that too for yourself, or at least start a process so you can systemize your business so you don't have to think about finishes ever again. Because trust me, I don't think about finishes, and I think you're going to like this. Most importantly, how do we actually make the 60 grand on this property? We're going to go over all that with you guys. No BS here, no fluff. This isn't HGTV. So let's dive into this property deep right now and start with the before photos. Hope you guys enjoy it. Let's dive in now. So this is it. It's nothing fancy. It is, like I said, roughly 2,000 square feet, 2-car garage. And we take lots of photos when we first go into a property, so that way we can analyze it from our desktop as much as possible without having to do everything on site. I've talked about that before in past videos. This is just how we do it, and it makes our streamlined business a little bit faster. Now, first thing you can notice on this particular property is that it has a cedar shake roof. That is something, and you actually kind of see it's hard to tell, but there's some shingles missing over here. And you'll see why that's a big deal once we get inside. But it's an old cedar shake roof in an area that probably shouldn't have these anymore, just because of the age of the roofs, and long-term cedar shake doesn't seem to hold up in the Pacific Northwest, at least. So going inside the house, for the rest of it, it's all kind of messed up a little bit. Nothing big deal. Just seems pretty basic and cosmetic to us. But when you go inside, you'll see that it has been vacant for some time. And actually that came up to a city issue with the local code enforcement area for King County had an issue with that. And there was a lot of neighbors that were complaining about this property because it had squatters. It was nasty, a lot of derelict stuff going on. And you can see that it's a little messed up inside. So hence that where I showed you guys those shingles were missing. This is part of why what happened to the roof because they were missing. And there was somebody actually not living here at the time. There was just squatters. But doesn't that just look like it smells delicious? Especially if you zoom in on these areas here, there's lots of little mold coming out from the skylight that got created from the roof being messed up over time. So good times with that. So that became a issue for us in the beginning. We had to figure out, okay, how bad is the roof? How bad did the rot go into in some of this? Because water damage is an issue, right? So how long was that hole there on both sides of the house, and how much rot was created from that? Now, sometimes you can't tell because there's so much garbage and stuff that you can see here and so much other debris in front of it that it's hard for when you're analyzing a deal to get somebody like a wholesaler to start removing all that stuff out of the way so you can see how much rot and damage there is. So we have to make some assumptions that that rot goes pretty well into the framing all in this area, and in which it did after we bought it. Luckily, we made some assumptions on that so we can get a better budget for the property. So just like this side of the house too, you can see that like a lot of stuff has kind of been ripped out, and there's also a hole in this area too. So we don't know if there's any rot in these beams, in the windows, or anything like that. And there could be, like, actually, if it's been leaking for a while, could actually be in the floors as well. So those are some key like things to be able to check out and think about, especially when you see water damage, because water travels, water moves, and it goes to the path of least resistance. And you don't always know where that path of least resistance is when you're first looking at property. Now, you got to love this kitchen. It is definitely smells like money as well, which is one of our favorite smells in these projects. And it's, it's a good, nasty trash out, good, nasty property. But the thing with this property, though, is that the floor plan isn't that bad. The floor plan was pretty nice. It was built in the early 80s. So, and that's actually the newest type of house for us that we would ever buy. Most of the properties we buy are in the early 1900s just because of where we live in the King County, Seattle market. But this house happened to be built in the 80s in the subdivision. So it actually had a pretty good floor plan. It just was messed up and pretty nasty. So you can see like nothing really big deal once you get all the trash out. This person liked to drink a lot of wine there, which was, I'm sure a lot of fun. And I hope those are full of wine. You never know. Anyways, so getting into it, we can see that we're going to rip out literally everything in the house. We're going to rip out all the carpet. We're going to rip out all the bathrooms. We're going to have to do a lot of work on some of this drywall, especially since there might be mold in there. And we have to mitigate that. You can see in the garage, we're looking for infrastructure as well when we go through these properties, like the water heaters, the furnaces, if they exist, ACs, depending on where you are in the US, panels. And you could automatically tell right away that there's probably something wrong with this water heater and it's probably not going to need to be kept. So you can add that to your budget. Now, if you have a template for a scope of work, or if you're working with a contractor or your realtor, you can go through pictures like these that I'm showing you here. And as long as you get most of the major stuff, and we take, 80, 90, 100 plus photos into these properties, sometimes more, so that we can see what are the major red flags as we're analyzing the deal. Now, we already know right away that in this project, we're going to do almost everything cosmetically fixed up. All the flooring, all the base, the trim, the doors, the kitchen, the bathrooms. We already know we're going to fix all those things, right? So we don't need to do anything more than count how many toilets, how much cabinets, how much base and trim, how big is the house, how many doors. Those are easy things to count in a rehab. And most contractors and realtors can help you figure that out pretty straightforward, especially with these photos. Now, what about the red flags? For us, the big expensive stuff. We already know that the roof was going to be a big expensive situation. The framing, the dry rot, those are red flag situations. The water heaters, the furnaces, the electrical system. We want to know what's going on with those as much as possible, because that could be hitting costs if we're not careful and get caught into a change order later in the day. So you can make some pretty good judgments, especially if you have a list. If you can create a list or work with somebody that can get you a list for a scope of work that can have at least the big red flags: windows, roofs, foundations, furnaces, hot water tanks, ACs, that kind of stuff. The things that are going to be expensive, foundations, you want to get those big checkbox out of the way as fast as possible. So that way you can know how big your budget might be. And then you get into the nitty gritty, like carpets, base trim, updates, that kind of stuff that you might need to do. That's how we do it. Just hopefully a suggestion for you guys. This is the master. So this is the only thing that was kind of weird. There's Nate. Nate works with us. This is the only kind of weird thing that we were kind of concerned about in the floor plan is you go into this master bedroom, and old school 80s, late 70s, for some reason, they didn't add, basic one. For number one, carpet went into the bathroom. That's always lovely. And then number two, there was no door to get into the bathroom. There was a door. You can't see it technically, but there's a door to the left here that goes into the toilet area, but there was no door into the actual area here. And we thought that we might need to figure something out there, but we knew we could do it. So we just made some assumptions and we designed it later. And I'll show you what that is and what we did. There's Nate with his hat on all the time. And so big, huge vanity, which was a great bonus. Big mirror. That's the only thing we kept in the entire bathroom was this mirror. Everything else we ripped out except for we kept the jetted tub too, or the soaker tub. And you'll see the design that we came up with that to make it a little bit nicer. And then it had a shower area that was tucked in over here. And that looks lovely. Who wants to jump in there? And it also is kind of dark. So you'll see later we added a window here just to kind of brighten it up. But there's not a lot of big changes that we did to the floor plan other than that. So the bathroom, blah, 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 blah. I hope you guys like it. Now, that's that. So you see all the photos, you see how it's messed up. Some of you guys can walk these properties and take photos and look at all this stuff. Might not be able to figure out fully what your rehab budget is just based on your experience level. That's why you bring in other professionals like your contractors, your realtors, and so forth, and people to help you figure out the scope of work, what needs to happen. Now, how do you actually figure out what to do on a property? That's the question that gets asked all the time. How far do you take the rehab? Here's the thing with real estate. It's not about what you feel like it should be. It's about what it actually should be based on what we call comparables, which is what has sold in the area. What's the comps, right? What's the area say in that market, that specific subdivision, that specific street, that quarter-mile radius, whatever it might be, houses that are similar in shape, size, bedroom, doors, that kind of stuff in the same neighborhood, same area, same locale. And the houses that sold for a higher price that were totally fixed up, what did they sell for? But also, what kind of finishes did they have in there? If I'm in an area that the finishes show that everything's selling for the price that we think we want to sell the house for, and they all have Formica countertops, sheet vinyl, basic carpet throughout, then great. That's all I need to do. I don't need to go put quartz countertop, tile backsplashes, tile everything, diamond coated, whatever, right? You don't need to do any of that stuff because the comparables tell you otherwise, tell you to do low grade. That's fine. Now, in this particular neighborhood, I'll show you comps in a second, we found that we had to put in quartz. We had to put in some better fixtures. We had to make the place look nice and shiny and all that stuff, and gave us ideas for the type of finishes we need to go on this property in order to get the value that we're looking for. Now, how do you know what you should buy the property for? And we're going to get into that in a moment so you can see that. You got to figure out what your after repair value is. Now, the after repair value you get from the comps, right? Now, if you don't know how to pull comps, that's what your realtor is there for. If you need somebody that be your listing agent on the back end, they should be able to help you figure out what the after repair value is. If they can't, and they're just guessing and they're giving you wild stuff, that's the wrong realtor for you. Do not use them, a real estate agent. Find somebody that understands what's going on in your market and specifically your house area that you're looking at, and they're experts in that area. And they could tell you that if you fix up the property to this level here, you'll sell it for this much, right? If they could tell you that confidently, that's your type of realtor that you're looking for. More importantly, to how fancy their marketing is and cards and all that great stuff. It's your money. It's not their money. If you're going to buy a property based off of somebody else's opinion for comparables, then you better trust that person's opinion. Got it? So you need those comps. You need to know what the after repair value is. And then you got to figure out how much rehab it's going to take to be able to get that ARV. And then you figure out your profit, your holding costs and expenses. And that should tell you what you should buy the property for. Unless somebody brings you the property, like a wholesaler or a realtor, and the price is already set for what to buy it for. Then you just got to figure out, does that price work for you? By figuring out the ARV, the comparables, all stuff, and working backwards to see if you can still meet the profit that you're hoping for on that deal. Now, I want to show you guys here in this particular property, we look at the floor plan. We always have whoever is working with us. If we can, we don't always get these. We make the crappiest little sketch of the floor plan as much as possible. This helps with comps so that we know, like, hey, do we need to change the floor plan at all? Do we need to make things a little bit different on the property so that way it can meet the comparables in the neighborhood? Because it's not just about bedroom, bath count, and square footage and finishes. It's also about, is the floor plan functional? Is it an open concept? Is it closed concept? Is there a room everywhere, like any dining room separate from kitchen, living? What's the floor plan? Is there walls and spaces that are weird, right? If you have the same bedroom count, the same bath count, and the same square footage as one house, that does not mean it'll sell for the same amount if the floor plans are drastically different. One more functional than the other, one more updated, that sort. So you got to check that out. How far do you need to go with the floor plan? So one way we do that with our photos is we also have our person on the ground or ourselves, you can do this yourself, draw a crappy little sketch. And this is what it looks like. So no offense, Nate, if you're watching this, who drew this for us. It's nothing special. You got the front door. You can see there's a living room, and these are actually 2 steps: living, dining, kitchen. And if you guys remember, we walked through it. This is where the hole was, in the living room, and this is where the other hole was in the living room. And then we walked through here, and this is where the hole was in the kitchen, right? So you go through it, and you have this is to go down to that living space, the garage. This is where the water heater was. That's what the circle is, not a toilet. Thanks, Nate. And then you go upstairs, and you can see there's 1 bedroom, kitchen, bath, half bath, washer dryer area. It's like, oh, okay, cool. I get a better idea when I'm looking at the photos of what this looks at like if I'm not there. Now, I'm in Maui right now, if you guys could believe that. It's awesome. That's why we got a sign that says beach next to me. And I was not in town when we went to go buy this property. So I needed the photos and I needed the sketches. Now, this is the upstairs, and let's zoom in on that a little bit. So this is the upstairs. You can see you go up the stairs. There's that master. And I talked about how there's a tub, the little, this is Nate's little sketches and stuff, which is nice. But you can see there's 2 more bedrooms, a master, not to scale, obviously, hall, bath, at least, but it gives me a concept in my head of where things are and what they look like. So that helps. Now, when I go to comparables, now that we know what the before photos look like, how messed up the property is, we kind of got an idea of the floor plan. Now let's look at comps, right? Comparables. So let's jump into that. So this is the area that the property was bought in. It's Federal Way in Washington. And we pulled 3 comps. Now we're looking at a roughly 2,000 square foot house, 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath property that it is as is. So let's get that as close as possible. So these are properties. So this is a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 2 car garage, 2,000 square feet. Seems pretty comparable so far in the same neighborhood as ours. Now, if you can't get these comps, we didn't pull these. Our realtor pulled these for us, who lists our properties for us. So they pulled these for us and sent them to us, so that way we can see and make some better decisions. Now, we can always go pull our own comps. If you don't have access to the MLS, these are pulled off the MLS, then you can work with a realtor to help you get that. There's other services out there. Zillow is okay to do it, but it's not the best. But then there's nothing better than working with a very savvy realtor that knows how to pull the best comps for you. Now, you can tell from some of these photos that they're kind of fixed up properties. So, but we do like this. It's 3.2, 2,000 square feet. Ours is 4, 2.5 bath, right? Which is good. And it's sold for $495,000. And in this scenario here, it's sold in 5 days. That's continuous days on market. That's what that means. And I'm like, cool. All right. So 495, that's a high level. I like that. Here's a property that is 2,100 square feet. So bigger, 4, 2.5, sold for 480. Right. I'm like, all right, well, I don't see the inside yet, so I don't know if it's updated or anything. So we'll look at that, but it is really close to other properties. It's a smaller lot. And then here's another 2 bedroom. This looks very similar to our property. 3 bedroom, 2.25 bath, right? And 2 car garage. 460 is listed and it's pending, but it went pending and it sat on the market for a little bit. So that's got me a little worried, but maybe the inside's not so good. And it is a tri-level. Ours is a little bit better. So here's the inside of the first comp that sold for $495. Right. It is nice. You can see the pictures. You can see that they put luxury vinyl planking. I keep saying laminate vinyl planking. They got the nice courts, right? This tells me that we need to do a higher end finish on this property, but they do have a fireplace here. That's kind of cool. And everything's super dialed in. It's smaller than ours. Look, they got a little barn door. I thought those were out of style. But everything's nice, clean. Cool. All right. So that gives me an idea. Basic backyard, no big deal. All right. Now, inside here, this property sold for a little bit less. And if I remember correctly, it was like 480 or something like that. A little bit bigger, but it's in a very close subdivision. So the finishes, though, lots of carpet. And it is nice. You can kind of tell, but it's a little bit dated. This is actually granite tile. And so that's old compared to what you need today. So it's a little bit dated there. And the dark browns don't really go well in our market as much. It's very clean, very nice, but those are some factors. Lots and lots of carpet, and open bedroom. The shower, yes, it's very clean. The bath is clean, but it is those dated. This is for mica countertops and so forth. And so you just kind of make your best guess on that. Now, finish wise, backyard looks good, but it's very small. And you're stacked on top of each other. Now, this one, it was on the market for $460 and it was still pending. And it was smaller, or roughly the same size as ours, looks very similar, but it's very dated for this area. So these are all dated finishes for what is used to in our area. Now, you might look at these finishes and go like, those don't look dated at all. Those look really nice. Well, that depends on your market. In our market, in this specific area, this is dated, right? So this is lots and lots of carpet, lots of old countertops, lots of old finishes. You got popcorn ceilings everywhere, right? So there's, the bathrooms are dated. Everything is just like, 90s. Let's just put it away. 80s, 90s kind of a feel, small backyard compared to ours as well. So we look at those, and based on our realtors, right? And we worked with 2 on these, and we pulled our own comps too, outside of these comps as well. We determined that we believe if we make the finishes similar to that first house that you saw, that we could probably get at least $489,000. That's what we'd list the property for, right? So their house sold for $495,000, that really nice finished one. That's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And we figured, like, why don't we list for $489,000 when we're done with this thing? And that way, worst case, that's a good number to go off of. $490,000 is like a good number for us for the after repair value. And then and with the hopes that we're a little bit cheaper than the one that sold for $495,000, that we might be able to get it up in a bidding war. Maybe, who knows, right? Market timing and so forth. But I'm willing to bet my money that if we make this house super nice, it would sell for at least $490,000, which is why we list for $489,000. So let me go into my fancy calculator that we use. So in our fancy calculator, you can use the BiggerPockets fix and flip calculator. But for time's sake, this is just a little spreadsheet that I've used for many years. And you can figure out your own or use the BiggerPockets calculator on BiggerPockets.com, which is a very, very cool tool. I just, for user purposes on this one, quick, dirty Excel spreadsheet. Now, this was brought to us at $305,000. So that's the purchase price. So now I can't really negotiate on that. Just because the wholesaler that brought it to us, there's other buyers that wanted it. So it's kind of one of those like take it or leave it situations, right? So I'm like, all right, well, let's see if we can figure it out and if 305 worked for us. So that's that purchase price. Now at 489, which is what we determined the ARV was, if I wanted to get around a 15% cash on cash deal, then I need to have a rehab of about 85,000. Now for me, we like 15% cash on cash deals. And so at a minimum, that's our minimum buy point. I would prefer way more, of course. But 85,000 allows us to have a 15.2% cash on cash return if we bought the property cash and we paid for the rehab cash. That's how I analyze my deals, is I look at this number. I don't care about the profit initially. I do later. I care about this ROI to quickly evaluate a property for me. Now, some other factors in our area that comes with costs is you have your holding costs. This has a 3-month holding cost. And I'm going to jump into that in a second to get some real numbers in here, some acquisition closing costs and so forth. And then we have our resale costs when you go to sell the property. In the state of Washington, where this property is, there's a 1.78% excise tax when you go to sell the property on top of your normal settlement costs. Your state's different. Go look at your state. For us, it equates to about 2.3% of costs from escrow fees, title insurance, taxes, all that great stuff, and excise tax, right? So it's $11,000 in cost if we sell the property for $489,000. And then, of course, real estate commission is roughly 5%. That's $24,000. You might pay less than 5. You might pay more than 5. Depends on where you are and what you are used to paying. So for us, 5% is normal. We sometimes pay a little less. That said, if we bought it all cash rehab, that would mean that it's a 15.2% deal at a $60,000 net profit. Now, we're not buying it cash, but I will buy this property based on this number here, 15%. If I'm confident in my ARV and I'm confident in my rehab and the purchase price works out to where this is at least 15, then I'm buying it. Now, why don't I add my holding costs in there, my financial costs? I do later after I figure out what my financial costs are going to be. Now, this particular project, I decided that we're going to finance the 305 purchase and the 85,000 with a private money lender at a 10% interest rate. So that's 390,000 that we're going to borrow, which means that's 10% a year. That's $39,000 in finance cost. And it's going to take us roughly 5 months to do this deal, just because we have one other factor that came into this deal, which is we had some issues with the city and the county due to code enforcement, some stuff that delayed it. We had a lot of other stuff going on, so we really didn't get to it right away, but we had to buy it. And we sat on it for a few weeks before we could finally deal with the code enforcement stuff. So that said, at a $39,000 annual finance cost, that's $3,250 a month in finance charges, right? That's your interest cost if you're using hard money or private money over a 5-month period. That makes my entire holding cost $18,000. Now, what that does, it means that if we get this done in 5 months at this rate, at my numbers being at 85 rehab, 489 sale, 305 purchase, then I will net $42,603 when this property is done, right? And completely sold and flipped. So that's how we do it. You guys might do it a different way. There's lots of videos out there to show you guys how you can run your financial costs, right, for yourself and what you do for your business. But this is how we do it. I look at the cash on cash return as if I bought it purchased for rehab. If the rehab and the purchase price were all cash, just because that's the fastest way to figure it out. It's also the easiest way to communicate to realtors and wholesalers how you buy. They don't know your financial costs, so don't bother them with it. And for me, I know if it's over 15%, if I had my finance costs, it's going to be good for me, right? Now, jumping into another area of concern on this property was that we had this notice. So this notice came up that we knew when we were buying it that we had a code enforcement issue on this property that we're going to have to deal with before we can actually start rehabbing and messing around with the property itself. If you guys can hear that in the background, that's the rain here in Maui. That never happens in the part that I live in right now, but it's like kind of loud. So if you guys can hear that, I'm sorry. Now we had the code enforcement issue. So the code enforcement issue came up. We knew it in advance. We had to deal with it. We couldn't get a hold of them during COVID. Apparently they don't always work. And took us a while to get a hold of them. We had to completely trash out the property, gut it out. We had to replace the roof. We had to secure the property fully. We had to make everything, shiny to make it to where people can't really break into it and live in it and make it, to where it's a squatter's dream or a transient's dream. So we fixed the roof up, made it nice, fixed some of the framing issues that had to be done from the rot, trashed out the whole property, made sure that it was nice and clean, and then secured the property fully, in which case then code enforcement came in and they allowed us to continue working on the property after that. And they were very grateful, especially the neighbors. So that's something you got to deal with sometimes, right? And knowing how to work those systems and work with the local authorities and so forth is very important. They're your friend. They help stuff out. They're not always your enemy. All right. So I mentioned to you guys that now, circling back really quick, we ended up buying this property for $305,000, just so we're clear, right? So I did buy it for $305,000. We did set a budget for $85,000, and we believe we could sell it for at least $489,000. Now, I did bring up to you guys that we had one issue that we had to figure out the floor plan. What was great about this property is the floor plan was actually super clean, super simple, and that's new for us. For us, the reason why I was willing to take a 15% deal on this, actually a little bit less once you add in on your holding costs, was because the floor plan was easy. There wasn't much to do it. And it was a pure cost. If you guys watch some of my videos with rehabs and so forth, like it's rare for us to work on a property that is super cosmetic like this one. And by cosmetic, that means you're just replacing fixtures, finishes, all that great stuff. Now we're replacing all of them right in this entire property. But that's all we have to do, right? Is that we don't have to, transfer loads and redo the entire property and change the entire floor plan and gut the house. We don't need to do any of those. And some of our other videos you've seen from us, that's what we do. And we're pretty good at it. But we get really excited when we find a property. We just get to come in and do all the, the flooring and finishes and like kitchen and not have to change the entire floor plan. Jumping to the screen though, I'm going to show you the one issue we did have, right? That we thought was the only weird part of the house. And that is the upstairs master bedroom. So this is what we use. We use a program called Home Designer Pro, right? And if you guys remember Nate's little funny sketch, this is Nate's funny sketch of the upstairs, right? Now this is Serena, who works with us. This is her more professional sketch of the property once we throw it into Home Designer Pro. We don't get anything for marketing them, but we use them all the time. We think it's an easy program to use. So you could pay a drafter, you could pay somebody else to build this for you. We've just learned over the years to kind of do it ourselves in-house. Now, this is the same stairs going up, bedroom left, bathroom left, turn right, going to the master bathroom, bedroom. So this is the only part that we thought was weird, which was this area here and the design. We're like, okay, well, it's kind of weird, this door, there's no door here. So let's get really creative. Let's do something drastic here, right? Let's add a door. Dun, dun, dun. And let's remove this door, right? And make it more of a pass-through and not a doorway. So what does that look like? Nothing special. We actually decided for whatever reason to add a barn door. I'm not in charge of that design part. That's what we chose. I think it's had to do with like the swing, so it wasn't weird. So we decided, and that's better than a pocket door. We left everything else the same, but we removed this and we got rid of the threshold version of it. So instead of having a actual cutout of a door, we just made the door go all the way to the ceiling. So the opening go all the way to the ceiling. But more importantly, we added this window here and turned this into a full tile bath over here. Tile shower over here instead of that insert. But we added this window just to give it more light. It was really dark in there, kind of dingy. So we just said, hey, why not? Let's make it, if you're going to make it an updated property, let's pop it with some windows so that way it's light and shiny. And then we add the a tiled shower, so it gives people the option. But we're going to leave this soaker tub here and as well. So just because we just think it's going to be a good soaker tub, and we just changed the fixtures, make it really nice. So that was literally the only thing we had to do floor plan change wise, besides fix the actual framing issues that were in the bottom. Now today on this property, I'm going to show you what it looks like right now today when I'm recording this video on January 9th, 2021. Right now, we're not done with the property. We're almost done. We're super close to it. And it's going to get listed here probably in the next weekish, maybe 10 days or so when we're almost done with it. We're jumping on through a whole bunch of the finished stuff right now. And it's completely getting wrapped up. We've stayed on budget. You're not clapping? All right, I'm clapping. That's exciting when you stay on budget. We're going to go over maybe about $1,000, but instead of 85,000, I think we'll be about 86,000. So that's like super awesome. And the way the market's been going, we still totally believe it'll sell for at least 489. There's a good chance it might pop up to 495, maybe even 500. I don't think it'll sell for 500, just because I think that's the cap of that entire market area there. And anything once you go over 500,000 in that neighborhood, you go to a different neighborhood. Now, if it does sell for over 500, that's awesome, right? But I'm not betting on it. We'll make our money. We'll move on. And we're not keeping it as a rental just because we'd have to leave too much money in it and not be able to cash flow, right? And that's a big issue for us. We'd have to rent it out for like $4,000 a month. And nobody's going to rent this place for $4,000 a month in that area for it to make sense as a keep. And that's how we analyze our deals, whether or not we flip it or keep it. If at the end of the project, and on this particular project, this is the case, we hit our budget, numbers great, rehab's cool, right? It's still a great flip. Well, let's look at if we refinance it at a 75% LTV, loan to value, do we have to leave a lot of money into the deal, or do we get all our money back out? That would be a BRRRR, buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. And then if we get most of our money out and we can rent it and get cash flow, right, and actually make a profit on the rent, then we keep it. In this scenario, we have to leave too much money in if we refinance it. And we also won't be able to rent it for as much as we need to pay it, to make it make sense. I think it's like somewhere around $3,500 to $4,000 a month for it to actually make sense for us on this particular property. So we're not going to do that. It's a flip. We're going to take our money and run and move it into the next deal. So let me show you what it looks like right now. So this is the property, and actually our video editor, Alex, and video photographer, Alex, loves to take pictures for us as well. So he took these beautiful photos for us while I'm here in a different state. And to double check it, QC, you can get other people to take your photos for you to quality control. We highly, highly recommend that you take photos of your project every single week, no matter what's going on with it, because your future self will thank you if you ever get into any disputes with any contractors or legal situations. On top of that, it allows me to be here in Maui, so I don't have to physically go there. So the property still hasn't been fully painted on the outside. You can see we did some trim. These are one of the updates we did to the properties. We added window trim to some of the areas. We fixed up this little area here, put a new door, kind of fancy. But already you can see that it's cleaner. Newer, not new sheetrock, but newly textured. In some areas was completely replaced sheetrock because it was so moldy and messed up. And the flooring's already in. You can see we put some nice, cool laminate stuff in there. Whatever we put in there, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Actually, I can tell you in a second. I'll show you something. We redid all the framing in this area so that way it could fix any damage. And we added some can lights. We made, this is that corner of the other side of the living room dining area that was completely rotted out. So you can already tell it's nice. We got the light fixtures coming in already. It's already looking good. And the kitchen's got its cabinets and quartz and stuff. It's missing its backsplashes right now. So we are going to put a tile backsplash all through all of this. So you guys will see the finished photos sooner or later in one of our videos, but we're just going to put some white subway tile. We just think it looks good, and put some stainless steel appliances. They're already there on site, but by the time you watch this video, they will already be up. So you can't go and steal them. What else we got? So that looks nice, looking good. That's where the stove goes. You can see we got stuff moving. We changed out all the carpet and put the LVP in instead. And going back upstairs, things look good. We're going to put carpet upstairs just because there's no reason to put put the LVP in the property here. So carpet's okay upstairs for us on this property. So we're going to carpet all this. And then going into that master bathroom that I told you about, there's that fancy barn door that people seem to like still. Instead of a pocket door, just makes it fancier. And actually, if you remember, one of the comps we had actually had a barn door in the bathroom. And then you can see that we updated this bathroom. So we got rid of that door. Yeah, cool. Don't step on it because the tile's drying. And we put the quartz countertops in. That's the same mirror that came with it. We are going to put a tile backsplash around here to make it look nicer. There's the soaker tub, and it's getting tile around it. It's not fully done. It's got Schluter on it, and that's metal. And then, of course, here's that fancy new shower that we put in, tile mud bath, mud pan, making it all cool, putting the tile all the way to the ceiling. Not the ceiling, sorry. I think it's going to end right where the red guard is and not to the ceiling. And then there's that new window that we put in, and it already looks better, way better than what it was prior to it without the window. So adding a window can change everything, make you rich. All right, so let me give you guys, wrap this up with some pro tips for you, right? Some pro tips on this property is, please remember to always make a very basic floor plan, take lots of photos. That's something that we have done for years and years and years. I talk about it all the time. It is something that saves us so many headaches, saves us so much time and hassle. Take pictures, lots and lots of photos. Nowadays with Dropbox and Google Drive, you have unlimited storage, so there's no reason to not store them into Dropbox or Google Drive. Pick one. Don't store them all on your phone, right, in case your phone gets destroyed or whatever, but please store your photos. You'll love it, especially the busier you get. And if you ever want to systemize your rehab and single family business like we have, this is a crucial part of the business. Now, that said too, another pro tip that we can give you guys is when it comes to the floor plans, right? Try to get a 2D version of it, like just a basic sketch, so that you can use that to help get comparables, right? You can use your comparables with your realtors, use an awesome realtor that's investor friendly as much as possible so that they understand what you're looking for. Not every realtor and real estate agent has the vision for after repaired properties. All they see is the messed up property. They don't see what it could be. So you got to find a realtor or real estate agent that actually can see what the potential of the property is while they're working with you. That's the one you want. And you can find a lot of those on BiggerPockets. A lot of them are premium members out there. Check them out. BiggerPockets is using a lot of tools now to help you find that right investor-friendly realtor. So check it out. It's definitely worth it to find those people because they know what you're looking for and they can see the vision of how you need to go from a 3-bedroom to a 4-bedroom, or that you're going to fix it totally up and get the right comps for you. So that is by far, out of all things flipping and all things burring, comparables are everything. Did I hit that enough? Cool. Now, one final pro tip for you guys, right, is your finishes. Now, finishes are important. Now, how we've come up with the finishes, comparables. We said it earlier. I said it many times. But how do you get your contractor to understand those things? Now, and how do you get their contractor to pick the right finishes and all so forth? Now, for me, what we've said for years on our end is that never let your contractor pick the finishes. So don't do that. Number 2 is how do you communicate it to them? We like to plan everything up front on these properties, everything as much as possible. So that way we streamline the whole process for the property once we start construction, once we start rehab. We get the right bids, the right scope of works, everything is good. Then we go. Now, in order to do that effectively, what happens to most people and how they do it ineffectively is they get a phone call one day from their contractor that says, hey, I'm ready for the tile. What tile do you want? You go like, oh, crap, I didn't think about that. And then you're scrambling to find the tile and working and stressful or whatever. And then you go drop off tile, whatever. It's like, oh, hey, I'm ready for the light fixtures. You said you're going to pick out the light fixtures. What light fixtures do you want? Oh, my God, I didn't know you need them now. And you're running around trying to figure that out. So can you figure out your basic finishes? I'm going to go back to this again with your realtor or a designer. It's up to you who you want to work with, or other investors, right? I've stolen a lot of great finishes from investors, investor buddies of mine in the area. And can you just get pictures of them? Can you find the SKU numbers? Can you figure out where to buy them from and put them in like a spreadsheet or even just an email, right? Just an email to your, that's what we used to do for years, not years, a year maybe, is when I was by myself in this business, is I would get pictures of the finishes that the realtor suggested. And then I'd put it in an email saying, buy these at Lowe's or buy these at Home Depot. And here's the pictures. And here's the name of the light fixture. And here's that, whatever. And I let the contractor figure that out right from there. Kind of messy. Had to do it every single time we did a house. Kind of a pain in the butt, but it works, right? Now, pro tip, right? Going to another level is start putting together a finished packet that you can use to give to your contractors prior to them even bidding the property, or maybe when they're ready to actually do the finishes, they have this packet and they can just go off of it and have no issues, no challenges later in the future with figuring out what you actually wanted. We did this initially with a designer, and then we initially started figuring out with other investors and getting their finishes packets, and we started putting stuff together until one day we came up with our own finish packet. Now we use a program these days. You can do this on Excel. You can actually, it won't be as pretty as what we're going to show you here, but you can do this on Excel. You don't need to get anything fancy for it. Excel, and all Excel needs to show is like front door, what type of front door, where you buy it, right? How much it costs, and then maybe brownie points if there's a picture of what the front door actually looks like, which you could put in Excel. Lots of work, lots of time. But if you're going to run this as a business, one day you should have something like this, in our opinion. We have it. We love it. We use it all the time. It's our most favorite tool we use. So let me show you what ours look like for this particular property. So this is the finished packet for this Federal Way property. So we have the front door. You can see what it is. You can see we buy it at Lowe's, the item number, how much it costs, right? And a picture of the door. And we do this for everything. We do this for the doorknobs, handles, the interior doors, right? The interior doorknobs, the actual, sorry, this is the garage door. Never mind. Garage man door, the garage door, the house numbers. Can you believe that? They're $8, right? How you should look at the railings, right? How they should make the fence, right? The light we want, everything is in here. The paint color, it's all there. The interior doors, there they are. Bifold doors, interior handles, even the little springy thingy, right? For the door stops. We put it all in here in one nice, complete little packet so that the contractor can have no confusion, no challenges. Everybody's on the same page. And it takes a little bit of time, energy, and effort to make this, to get it to this level. This is years, people, years and years and years of doing this business to get to the point where we have this. Back in the day, we didn't have this. We kept it super simple, sent an email, and told them our finishes, and that was it. And then one day we systemize it. That's how you build systems in this business. You start something, you start using it, and you refine it over time. If you get analysis paralysis on this stuff, you'll never do it, right? So don't overthink it. Just start with something. And then on your next project, make it a little bit better and review what happened on your last project and make it a little bit better and make it a little bit better until one day you have something that's shiny. And I've said shiny a lot on this video for some reason. I have no idea why. And it looks clean and nice for the contractors and for yourself. So that said, we're jumping into this project. We're almost done with it. We're going to get it on the market. Hopefully I'll make the money that I was looking for on this project. Hopefully you guys learned something from this video. And if you love videos like this, definitely follow me at Tarl Yarber on Instagram. And for sure, definitely subscribe to BiggerPockets YouTube channel because this is where we're putting these videos. This is where you guys are going to get the most value. A lot of stuff's happening in BiggerPockets right now. A lot of awesome changes coming down the line for you guys to help give you guys more value for what you guys are looking for in your business, whether it's multifamily, single family, land development, whatever is something going to be for you with BiggerPockets here soon. So check out me, Tarl Yarber on Instagram, and I will see you guys in our next video.